All right. So firstly, shout out to Satya for this pretty cool report. I think it looks like some sort of a statistical class homework, and it's really, really awesome that we get to see this. And also shout out to the THP folks for sharing this document. So let's just dig through. So general arching goal is that they're looking at they collected a bunch of strength measures and they wanted to know what's the relationship of those relative to jump height, especially a max running vert. Okay. So introduction, yada yada yada. So some of the main interesting stuff are that what variables were collected, and what was the analysis method, and what was the result. So let's just take a look here. So you have your person's height, age, so general demographics, some interesting things. So there are different kinds of variables that you can analyze. So number one, they are categorical, meaning you have distinct categories, right? So you have these, you can or cannot dunk a basketball. That's like a binary thing, two option thing. And then you have these, where you have age groups, right? As opposed to a continuous spread of numbers, you have discrete groups. So this plays into how the statistical analysis was done later on. And then you have your standing vert, max vert, etc. And then this is pretty interesting. Obviously it's going to be there. And then you have the lifting stuff, and the lifting exercise chosen were the ratios of back squat, front squat, power clean, and deadlift. Okay, power clean, deadlift, kind of controversial in the jumping world specifically, and more so recently. And after the data cleaning, it looks like we have 315 persons worth of data, which is so much actually. In this kind of research, it really is a lot. So here, let's just briefly go through what each of the column means. The sum, forget about it. Like what's generally useful is like the mean and standard deviation. So the mean obviously tells you about the average, standard deviation tells you about the spread of the data, and then you have the max and the min just to show what are the extremas, right? Who are the people that stand out? Like what this person has a 3.64 times deadlift. Like is that Tom Dunks? Is that you? That's pretty cracked. But yeah, so then there's some different results. So this, when you see this kind of graph, with the binary, remember, and you have the max vertical jump versus the categories with some outliers and stuff. So you have your mean, your standard deviation, and just a simple comparison of this for people that voted zero for this question versus one. How different are they? And they say yes, it's what is it, significantly different, right? But sometimes you see a bit of overlap, which it's always weird, but that's how statistics are sometimes. But yeah, so people that are on THPs jump significantly higher, bias or not, right? It's a result regardless. So sure. And then this is interesting. So this is essentially telling you that across all of the variables that were sampled, so you might notice, let me see if I can zoom in. But here, across all of the variables that were sampled, how correlated they are, meaning what is the relationship between any of these variables with the rest of the variables. Okay, so when you do a specific statistical analysis, you kind of want to know what things are already intercorrelated, because if you put things into a model, but two of the things you put in the model are too related with each other, it can kind of like skew the model in one of the ways. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why to do like what they did later on, which I believe, yeah, it's a linear regression. You need to do this sort of correlation analysis across the variables. Some of these I am less strong with. Like I know I'm supposed to check things with the QQ plot, and you're supposed to see like, oh, the residual things. This is supposed to fall on the line. Again, this is probably too advanced. So let's look at the variable selection, just to say what were the variables that was most suitable. Okay, and this is also the results. So it's a bit weird that it's a variable selection section. It really is the results. So here's all the things that were deemed and also this is not significant. Come on, bro. This row shouldn't be insignificant. Usually in statistics, they set significance, meaning the result is like you're very 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 confident in the results, and that's set at 0.05. So you might hear that when p-value is less than 0.05, it's significant. Okay, it's a very arbitrary line. In a way, it tells you that we are confident that this is a real thing 95 times out of 100. 5% of the times, things can go kind of cuckoo. So here, looking at things that predicts, or things that have a prediction, predicts the maximal jump height. So looking at the relationships between variable A versus jump height. So variable A is here, standing vert. Obviously, that makes sense. If you're a good jumper, you're just a good jumper. Whether you can dunk or not, sure, right? This is sampled in a community of people that actually likes dunking. So this is, what was this one again? I think it was like height or something. But anyway, so in terms of the lifting stuff, so this one was highlighted. Power clean, body weight, and you see 0.016. And I think this is, yeah, so this is one set of variables in the model. Okay, so then you have other things. So I guess I personally still a little confused that you have, right, your p-values here. It's slightly different from this, probably different statistical approach. But again, what's kind of cool is that here power clean does seem to rise to the top. And back squat here, you see, since it's above 0.05, right, it's technically not significant. So it's like not a significant quote unquote correlation, even though this is a regression, but not significantly correlated slash related with vertical max and vertical, according to this data, according to these statistical results. Then you have here. So this is the final model, meaning the final results. Oh, here's the main results. Okay. Right. Okay, that was pretty short. But the main results really is this is what I look at. Okay, so let's just explain this table a little bit. So you have the parameter estimates, and here, what it means is that for each of the variables here, if you want to like use an equation to compute the jump height, right? Then you have your maximum vertical and then each of your numbers here. So the estimate, parameter estimate, is simply the number in front of your each of the variables. Now, do note they did try their best, right, to relate a lot of things relative to the body weight. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. And what I'm most interested in is in looking at for each of the exercises here. So front squat, power clean, and deadlift, right? You look at which ones are significant. So that's usually this column, what it looks like. So remember from before, back squat not significant. Also, not really the case for front squat either. And you see that this p-value is bigger than 0.05, right? Whereas all of the other ones, like especially your height, I think that's height, and then dunk, age of dunking, and whether you can dunk, right? Those are very good predictors of your max vertical. In terms of the exercises, you notice that you have power clean being a pretty good contributor, right, with the gradient of 1.19, and then your deadlift gradient of 0.8. And then both of these are significant results. Okay? So this is one part I want to highlight, that it's not like power cleans is okay. Just speaking strictly from the output of the statistical results, I don't think you can say power clean as a percentage of body weight is definitively the exercise for vertical jump, especially when you have deadlift. That's still a significant contributor. When I say significant, I mean statistically significant. Think about it, okay? So the gradient, aka if for example, if this power clean value goes up, your max vert goes up. The exact same is the case for the deadlift. And note, even though this number 1.19 is greater than 0.8 between power clean and the deadlift, guess what? Your ratio of your deadlift to body weight is always higher than that of your power clean. So we can even make this case that if your ratio of power clean to deadlift, which is 1.19 divided by 0.8, I think that's just like, what is it? 1.5 times, right? Yeah, I think 1.5 times. So if you can power clean 80 kg and you can deadlift 120, in that case, both exercises are equally important. They contribute equally as much. And if you can only power clean 80 kg but deadlift 130, for example, right? Usually it could be the other way. Then your deadlift might contribute more. Now, if your power clean, obviously is like if it's the other way, if you can deadlift, for example, like me, because I'm pathetic, you can deadlift 140 but power clean 100. Then in this case, yes, mathematically, power clean is your greatest contributor towards maximum vertical jump. So just some extra details to add on when it comes to this sort of analysis. Okay, so in terms of the gym, in terms of what gym lift statistically predicts jump height, the interpretation that power clean is the most important comes with some nuances. Yes, it had the smallest p-value, but it's not always about just. It's not like, oh, just because the p-value is the smallest, it's like the best variable to predict a outcome, right? It's just it has a stronger relationship to the outcome. The actual contribution obviously varies by people, and you know honestly, at least the most honest way I can see of presenting this result is saying yes, there is contribution from the power clean. A little bit less is the deadlift, but also noting that the ratios relative to body weight of these two exercises can be different, which can influence the results. And this is actually another reason that people would, unless I didn't read through the methods, but if one thing they did, if they scaled the variables so that you don't have like one number that skews relative to the size of the rest, then what I just said about lifting more deadlift than you should for power cleans, that's out of the window. So if that is the case, then really good stuff. Okay, then yeah, you can really comfortably say power clean statistically is the most best predictor of jump height. Now for practical takeaways. Okay, I've asked this question in my previous post as well. Is power clean the is it just a way to express performance, or is it a way for you to obtain performance? One thing that's always important to remember is that when you select exercises, you should do it not because it has the quote unquote highest power output. You should do it for the adaptations. Okay, so you have to communicate and describe this pretty well, in the sense that you say power cleans are good because it provides you with these kind of adaptations. Okay, that's a good argument, and that's a fine argument you can make. What doesn't quite stand is you argue power cleans benefits based on, oh, it has the highest power output or whatever. Okay, but overall, very very interesting, and also I'm honestly legitimately quite awesome, and I love that this is shared. So once again, shout out to the author of this document as well as the THP people from sharing this. I think I was just on their like school page and I got this pushed through the email, so that was pretty nice. I hope my explanation was helpful. I hope I didn't go into too much details. If you watched until here, please subscribe, and I'll see you later.